Once again, we are back for another How to Conquest. I've done it for European War 6 and I'm doing it for European War 6 1914. Now, before we start a conquest, I'd advise you to really go and look at your training tab that's in the middle of your conquest screen or your campaign screen, training below obviously, and look to upgrade these things. I might still make a videos on which of these are the most important ones, but I really rate mobility high, so I always try to rank that up, and attack. So you can hit and run, basically. That's terrible. but you hit the city or the unit and you run away again. So these two I really rate high. Now that was like step 0, I guess. Now step 1 is go and check out some YouTube videos. So for example, you can watch which nations you can choose, the top 10 nations, which are easier and which are more challenging. It obviously depends on what you want to play as. Generally, right now there are 3 conquests. So for these 3, there are always 2 sides. In the 1861, there is the side of the Americans versus the CSA. In this conquest, all nations was a little eagle instead of the crown. The eagle do better. In 1865, generally the British side, the crown does a bit better with the Germans. And in 1914, again, the eagle does better, again the Brits. So Britain is almost always better except the first conquest. Now, let's say you have chosen a conquest. I want to play 1865 now, just to look. I looked at the video, Juljas set it for a 3-star nation. And I'm not just promoting my videos. If you want to watch anybody else's videos, it's fine as well. Now, I said Denmark is very easy. So I go in Denmark. I've seen the Juljas told me the strategy to go for Danzig, so that's already a good beginning. And yeah, the first thing you should do if you join a conquest is look at your starting units. You have a good artillery here. You have mediocre cavalry here. You have a general here. And you should look who joins the war when and who is going to add. So Italy, a lot of your allies will join rather late. Portugal will join pretty soon-ish. Spain will join quite soon. If the enemy is Romania, a lot of enemies join late. That's an important thing to notice, first of all. But your big ally Russia joins also rather late. So it's here important to look whom you want to get earlier in. If you're a small nation, it's easy to buy in nations. For Denmark, it's pretty easy to, for example, pay in Italy or Portugal. So you have a lot of options here. Obviously, the small nations cost less. The bigger nations cost more to pay in earlier or later. Now, we say, for example, Russia's pretty important, but I'm first going to deal with the Germans a bit myself, but I'm still going to pay them in. So we get Russia in. Portugal is also very important to join in soon to help the French attack the Spanish. To help the French attack the Spanish. So that's already some good budget of mine gone. Also look now, if, for example, you pick Germany, then if Russia joins too soon, it's a big issue. So you maybe try to pay them out a little bit so you can have a bit more time to kill off the Austrians. Stuff like that. And also pay attention to look when they join, just so you aren't surprised and have your pants down. So if you now Prussia and all of these units are attacking here and then you suddenly Russia attacks you with no defenses, it might be an issue. Now we start off and we look at our units. We add our best generals to our best units. Here, for example, this cavalry, hunting cavalry, I don't really feel it to add a general here. But this artillery, it's a howitzer, it's a good unit. You can't, let's quickly have a look. I think you don't even have a building slot for it. So you have 1 artillery. You're going to add him. You're going to add your best artillery. And you look at the city. Oh, he has only 2 range. He doesn't have 1 till 2 range, so you can hit him from very close. Bam. And then you build the next unit and you save up maybe money so that you can build a good infantry. For example, you want new infantry, so you save up a little bit just so you can build it next turn. So if you have the more units, for example, Germany has a lot more units, so you can add a lot more generals. Pay attention for special units. I think the Austrians start with the Hungarian Hussars. Now, the Hungarian Hussars have really good traits, like the enemies have the possibility to not be able to counterattack, so you have to look out for these special units. For example, here also you have the air gun soldier. Generally add your generals to special units because they mostly are very good. The Ottomans have really strong cavalries, the Sipai cavalry, so they can restore health. Just have a look where if they're special units, add generals to those. Those are generally very, very good. Now we're starting off. Let's quickly have a look. Oh, we can build a military academy or a palace. Now these two are pretty important. If you build a military academy, you're generally going offensive. Palace is generally defensive. because there you can build a princess to reduce your damage. You usually don't really need increasing damage. So if you want to build a palace to defend, it might make sense if you're in a very, in a very bad position where you need to defend. If you, like me now, trying to go offensive, you build a military academy, you add some blasts, and then you can blast cities. So that's already quite important. Don't forget the blasts. I myself always forget them, and that really prolongs your campaigns and makes it hard to take cities. Don't forget the blasts. Now my next tip, let's end this turn here, is go for cities, don't go for units. What I mean with that is, for here now, I have to go after this unit because this group cannon is so incredibly powerful. You just have to do a lot of damage to it, because otherwise it will just wreck your units. So here I'm just really gunning for it, and thank God my Ivanov is so powerful, he's just going to destroy it. Just look at this. Okay, it's basically dead. So here, I don't try to take out all these individual units, and don't try to fight these navies. I go for, first of all, this unit because it's so powerful, but otherwise I'll go for the cities. For example, here I'm going for Danzig. Don't try to kill a lot of units, try to kill the cities, because then they can't reinforce anymore. Because there's a thing called taxes and the unit limit. And if you go with your unit amount over the tax limit, you have an issue, because you then get less income, which is very important. Now here we still haven't saved enough money yet for our new infantry, so I'm still going to wait one turn. And again, end the turn. Now if, for example, a unit is spawned into a city, which happens quite often, for example here in Hamburg, what you're going to do is you won't put a unit right next to a tile of it, you're going to go a little bit away. Now here I'm now going to attack Berlin instead of going for Hamburg, just because they will lure your behavior. I'm sorry, my brain. Your behavior will lure the enemy away. So this unit will soon go away from the city, will attack your cavalry here, and then it leaves them open for a counterattack on the city itself, which you'll have to, like I said, take the cities. Now our boy here is going for the city. What I'm going to do now is build our infantry, which I said I would do. And now I made a little mistake, and I went over the budget limit, which is an issue. But right now I can't really do anything against it. Like, I can build a farm next turn. I'll build a farm next turn. So if you're over this, try to counter it somehow. Take more cities, build farms. Now if... Good, they still aren't going after... They still aren't putting a unit in Danzig, so I'm still going to hit Danzig. Like I said here, I'm not attacking the units a lot, except here I had to because I don't have the distance to attack Danzig, so I'm going to hit the unit, obviously. Yeah, here I'm just going to chill a bit, just wait it out. Now the good thing is they killed the unit with me, so my taxes are still intact. They still haven't put a unit in Danzig. Okay, the Germans really don't want Danzig, so I guess I'll just have to take it. Now he did a lot of damage, but it's not enough yet to take the city. Now what do? We prepared blasts. And I see exactly why I prepared the blasts. We take Danzig now, and I don't even have a lot of units yet. So here, try to land, build one militia. And that brings us to our next tip. Generally, one militia will keep a city alive per turn. So if it's surrounded by units and they will attack you, generally a militia will survive. If there's now a lot of generals and artillery around, you might have to build a better unit. But like I said, if it's just normal units, one militia will hold the city. So you don't have to build expensive units, they just will be wasted. Rather, keep the economy going and build a militia. So here, for example, let's not build. Now here, for example, our city is looking like it might be hit a lot in the next turn because there's a lot of artillery around. So what are we going to do? We're going to add one militia. This boy here is going to hold because he still has a lot of city HP. No biggie. Then what we further do is attack these cities, because like I said, go for cities. Now this boy can even attack once again, so this artillery is getting wrecked. Now if you have to kill a unit, generally it makes sense to surround the unit. What I mean by that, I can show you in 1 second when my turn ends. So there's two surround mechanics. I mean, if I have to take the city, I will take it. Let's have a look here. Please take it. Good, maybe the militia can reach. He can't. Okay, so here's another city. What I generally mean is there's two things. You can go like this, so you can surround the unit by having a line. So it has one unit on each side of it. So for example, like this it's surrounded, and like this it's surrounded. What you also can do is put the unit on each tile next to it, and then it gets double surrounded, which gives it a double debuff, which is really powerful. So use that wisely. Here, for example, I'll surround him. And the surrounding, what it will do is it will decrease the attack and maybe even the defense, not only the attack of the unit, which obviously is pretty powerful. And what also makes sense is try to attack units, non-naval units, when they're in the water, because then their attack and their defense is majorly decreased. So hitting naval invading units is really easy. And the next step is pretty important. That is, if you look at the map and look a bit around, it's quite important to look who is doing good and who is doing bad. Then you aid these people if you have the economical power. Right now, I have some good units here. I don't really need another unit anywhere I see. So what I'm gonna do is gonna check out, maybe Italy. I could pay them in. I can't pay Italy in. Should I pay Montenegro in? Does it make sense to pay Montenegro in? I don't really. Actually, why not? Because then they will kill off Bulgaria. So we pay off Montenegro. What you can do is go to nations like Portugal, for example, are quite important at the beginning, and you donate money to them. Make sure they don't have a lot of gold and tech, because if they already have a lot of gold and tech, that means they already have a very high amount of it, so you don't really need anymore. Now, for example, Austria isn't doing too well, or Portugal, they need some economy and gold, so I'm going to give it to them, so they can do better, take La Coruña and steamroll Spain, hopefully. Always, once again, it might, each turn, at the end of the turn, you might check it out, or just once in a while, check it out. It's quite important. Just to shorten your conquest or even make it winnable. Now, the next step, which I'm going to tell you right now, is only have frontline units. Don't build inland units. What I mean with that is, except if then I wouldn't be any units here to attack my Danzig, I won't have a militia here. Just to save up my costs, my gold, and... oh my god, he's going to take the city. Hell yeah. Look at Denmark. Again, if there won't be an artillery around here, I wouldn't build a militia here, but I have to, since there is a possibility that I might lose the city. For example, now, and I can't show where it was Denmark, because it's not such a huge nation, but if you're France, having units somewhere in the inland just makes no sense. You only have to have the front line. So this cavalry here is very stupid. It's not going to do anything. But all these units here on the front line, they're very needed. So having like defense, if they ever break through, is just... You build them when they get there. You don't have to build them all the time. Just have them ready. Like, this guy is needed right now because the city is getting attacked. But otherwise, I wouldn't have a unit in Copenhagen, because it doesn't make sense. You rather spend your economy building frontline units or helping your allies. Oh, Bulgaria died. It's a good thing. That's exactly why I paid in Montenegro. It's exactly why I did it. Now, it's always important to look if there's any weak cities nearby. So, for example, here, Berlin has no unit. This city is already pretty weak. Okay, I mean, Prussia is already kind of dying. So hit them where they are the weakest. Here, for example, I'm going to hit Berlin because it's very important economically. Hit it, maybe even kill the city. No, it does a lot of defenses. That's the thing with capitals. They're usually quite well defended. Good, now here the artillery is gone. So what I'm going to do is move this guy to the front line, because he just it's not needed as a city. Then I'm going to gun for Berlin. Here again, no enemies nearby. I'm not going to build a unit. Rather, I invest my gold in an ally who's not doing too well. For example, France has a lot of issues in the beginning. Take my money, France. What you should pay attention to is if a unit is almost dead, try usually to go and kill it off, just because it then can't hit you anymore. Just one damage less you have to worry about, because usually if you attack a unit and it dies, it doesn't counter hit. Here again, look around, still a new weak city. Right now they build a unit in Berlin, so I'm not going to go for Berlin once again. This artillery can't hit back, so what I'm going to do is hit this artillery. I'm going to away from the city, so this unit gets baited out. What I'm going to do instead is weaken Leipzig, since there's no unit there. Send this militia further inland to possibly take Berlin if I need to. Now this unit is not needed anymore here in Copenhagen, so I'm going to attack Hamburg with it. Again, do I need any defending units anywhere? No, no, no. Okay. Time to give money to allies. Now, look at this. Berlin is empty. Hit Berlin. Take Berlin. Prussia's almost dead. And that's going to be a huge help for your team, because now you can really hit these guys. Now, for example, if now Prussia wouldn't be an important major power, which you can't, capitulate. So just really, you really want to save up some money to speed up the game, because if you take the capital, and for some nations like France, you still have to take a second city, which is really powerful. Then you can just get them after the war and have an enemy less enough to take every single city, which is a really great new mechanic. So usually if you take England, you'll take London and maybe Manchester or Birmingham, and it's enough to capitulate. You don't have to go and take this final city here, which really speeds up your conquest if you prepare to save up some money. So these are my steps. Right now I already would be in a very easily winnable conquest, since we'll soon destroy the Prussians. And what is going on otherwise? The Balkans is a bit of an issue. Oops, not auto, so sure, not auto. Only auto if you can, obviously. I guess Portugal's already taken the city. They'll be big trouble for Spain. Hopefully I will then help France a lot with my economy, because they have too many sides to fight against. And Italy should really help against the Balkan nations. So these are my, how many steps were these? 14 tips for conquest. Write comments if you have further ideas. And thank you for watching. I hope this helps you. Have a nice and bye.